Yeah.
Everyone wants them when they're cheap, but then once they, you've seen it outside of big like football games or whatever, or even terrorist attacks in London.
Yeah.
Surge pricing comes in at a time when people need to get out of London because of said terrorist attacks.
Yeah.
The prices are going up and up and up.
Right.
Just because there's a surge on the demand. Whereas black cab drivers, you see them and they're like, well, no, we just do this for free.
Yeah.
We'll just get everyone out of the area,
Yeah. And the other argument would be, I guess, convenience. So is there not like why a black cab's not got an app? Right, mate, we're getting towards the end now, so we've got a big question for you. Tom the taxi driver, what's your opinion on Uber?
Have we got time for another podcast? Look, when they first came to town, they were really cheap because they were investors like subsidised the rides basically.
Yeah.
So you could get like to obscene locations across London for like no money at all.
Yeah, they were doing like free rides at first, I think.
Never used them.
Yeah.
So, but obviously it's like any big company like that, the Amazon model, get them in while it's cheap and then get the user base, build it up and then put the prices up. So much so I even done this myself. Like I made like a video like within London. If they're surge pricing, more often than not, they're more expensive than black cabs.
Right.
Like if you're doing little jobs within Central,
Yeah.
if you're maybe doing that one down to Bournemouth, an Uber is most certainly probably going to be cheaper.
Yeah.
And look, loads of people use them. I understand the convenience factor that you can press the button, the driver's going to turn up all hours of the day. They're going to have much better coverage in the outer suburbs of London and stuff. But all I would say to like people who are watching this is just like when you're interfacing with a black cab driver, you're dealing with that driver directly. It's not an insidious company that's basically ripping that driver off by taking like a good chunk of their earnings that can change their prices at whatever time. Yeah. Everyone wants them when they're cheap, but then once they, you've seen it outside of big like football games or whatever, or even terrorist attacks in London.
Yeah.
Surge pricing comes in at a time when people need to get out of London because of said terrorist attacks.
Yeah.
The prices are going up and up and up.
Right.
Just because there's a surge on the demand.
And that's done on an algorithm, so they can't just switch on like a compassion algorithm, can they?
Yeah, compassion. Yeah, that'd be good. But like, whereas black cab drivers, you see them and they're like, well, no, we just do this for free.
Yeah.
We'll just get everyone out of the area,
Yeah.
So you're more interfacing with like a real kind of human being and a love for it.
Yeah.
And it comes back to like we mentioned about how the knowledge I've got, like if someone hasn't got an idea of where they're going, they're trying to get you to the theatre, I might know of a certain closure in that area, meaning I can't get you all the way there. And I'll say, look, this is probably about as close as we can get. I want to save the passengers money, mainly so I can get them out and I can get on to the next passenger.
Right.
But whereas an Uber driver on a sat-nav might be going all the way around because he can't, there might be a central reservation, so you've got to go all the way around the long way.
Yeah.
When I know the door's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say to people who worry about potentially like foreign people that are coming into the country? If they do it on the app, they see what the price is going to be.
Yeah, yeah.
As opposed to a black cab.
Yeah.
What would you say to that?
Just have a word with the driver. Like the best thing, like I'll always love it when people come up to the window before they get in.
Yeah.
It's kind of a nice like courtesy thing. I unwind the window. Hey, how's it going? Because someone then goes, I don't know, let's say that I had it like fairly recently. I was working during Pride in London, so there's loads of road closures. Oxford Street, lady comes up and goes, how much to Trafalgar Square? I said, I'm not going to bother because I know that all the roads are closed.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be awful for you.
Yeah.
Even if I got you roughly close, it's going to be like 20 quid,
Yeah.
which is ridiculous. Like if you know London, it's like a, I don't know, 15, 20 minute walk or something. So
Yeah, fair play. And then what was the other argument? The other argument would be, I guess, convenience. So is there not like why a black cab's not got an app?
So we've had a few, but the ultimate issue that it comes down to is that us cabbies kind of hate the idea that a third party company is kind of taking money that should be ours, like straight from the meter.
Okay.
We've earned the right to hail. So, you put your arm up,
Yeah.
stop a black cab, get in, away you go. Every London black cab takes card, cash, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's fine. You're not going to like go, can I use card? Like we have to. We're mandated by Transport for London to do
Right.
that.
Every single black cab.
Every single black cab, yeah. That's like a thing. Like you can report the driver if not, if they don't take cards.
Yeah.
So you're always going to be able to pay. It doesn't matter. But like some of these take like 20% off of like what the driver earns.
Right.
Some of them as well surge price the customer as well, which is wrong. Like I want the customer to pay exactly what it says on that meter.
Yeah.
Because that's what will happen. I use some of these apps. I'll put the price in of what my meter says and they'll chuck like an extra charge on that the passenger has to pay because it's like a surge.
Right.
So that's the issue. And then the smaller ones that have been made by cab drivers, the issue is marketing. They can't get
it out.
They can't get the user base out there. You need a good amount of drivers on it and a good
Can
user of
people pre-book you then?
Yeah.
So what do what they get your specific number?
Yeah, like that's the cool thing, because any cab you get in, you're dealing with that driver directly. We're licensed by Transport for London, but if you like that driver and you're like, mate, like, can you take me back to the airport or whatever? They just hand over a business card. They can, if they like me, they can do that. I have people from YouTube and things like this that might reach out to me and stuff like that. Oh. I generally don't, because it just gives me like a lot of anxiety and fear and dread knowing I've got to be somewhere at a certain time. Yeah, right. I love the rock and roll lifestyle of just being able to wake up and go to work when I want.
You're right.
That's me.
Yeah. I think we touched on it just earlier, but so with a black cab, if say we were doing that the route that we did before, where we go Liverpool Street to London Zoo.
Yeah.
If you do that journey 100 times, how different are the fares going to be? Are they all going to be relatively the same?
I think it's probably best looking at it as like an average.
Okay.
Because like there will be certain times of, like, I've had it where I'll fly up to Highgate and it'll be like 20 quid or like 20 quid or so on the meter, and I'm like, hey, like if I do that in like rush hour times. So I think people who get cabs a lot realise this, that there'll be kind of like a ballpark where it will sit. Sometimes it's a lot quicker. And it'll be cheaper. Other times there might be a bit of traffic and it is a bit more. Mm-hmm. So yeah, if you did it like 100 times,
it would be
probably about an average. But again, it's what people see like with the whole Uber model is they will just fixate on the lowest price, and then when it goes high, they're like, oh, so all of a sudden it's not that cheap if 4 out of 4 times, 3 times they surge price.
Yeah, and I've found before that I've got in Uber and it said estimated this, and then it's just like higher, way more than that anyway. Oh yeah. So Uber's not as cheap as Black Cab.
Like I said, within central London, because they've got to add other stuff into the mix as well. So Ubers aren't exempt from the congestion charge. So if they come into central London, they've obviously got to put that into their pricing somewhere.
Okay.
Taxi drivers are exempt from that because we're part of the public transport infrastructure.
Fair enough.
We're 100% disabled accessible. Every single London taxi has a disabled ramp. We can get mobility scooters, wheelchairs, all sorts in there.
Yeah. Fair play to you. We've learnt a lot today.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed it. You've been, we've done so many guests. You've been super unique. We've never had anyone who can teach us this world. I'm always so locked into these kind of guests as well. Like,
I've got one more I want to add. I think you've been really salient for your listeners. Yeah, but it doesn't happen as much now.
All right.
But it was one of the other cool perks of the jobs I've only ever had like happen once.
Yeah.
And do you know about strip clubs paying out?
What do you mean?
For taxi drivers. What?
No, what?
Right, so
I'm so intrigued.
Yeah, so years. I've imagined this probably been a time like pre like sat nav and looking up stuff on the internet and stuff. Mm-hmm. But prime sort of strip clubs would go around to taxi ranks and say to drivers like, "Oh, if you bring a few clients our way, we'll give you like a kickback or whatever." And they would go around to the rank, and they still do it to a degree. I had it at like Liverpool Street fairly recently, saying, "Oh, if you bring them to Browns, we'll give you a bit of a kickback." And like it used to be quite good. Like you could get like £40 per head, like on each, like limited to like 150 or whatever. Yeah,
what?
Just for dropping them. So you'd get the fare for dropping them there.
Yeah.
Like my best example of this, my only example. I picked up some lads coming out of the Griffin on Clerkenwell Road.
Is that a strip club?
It's like one of those pounding a pint jar sort of jobbies. Yeah, it's like a dance sort of club, whatever. Yeah. And they're like, "Oh, we want to go to Spearmint Rhino, like Tottenham Court Road." Now, I didn't know if Spearmint Rhino paid out or not, or I didn't know what their rates was. There used to be like a whole chart. You could go like, "Oh, which one do I want to take?" But that was the idea. You could pick the right one. And I knew there was a brand of them. I don't think they're about anymore. It's called Secrets. And there was literally a Secrets round the corner on Gray's Inn Road, right by Chancery Lane Tube Station. Yeah. And I was like, "No, lads, that's like miles away. I'll save you the fare. Like, we'll just turn left here and I've got your Secrets there." And they're like, so the fare came to like 4 or 5 quid. They were like, "Oh, thanks so much, driver. That was awesome. Give me like a tenner tip." Yeah. So I've given them 15 quid for turning left. They get out. I catch eye contact with like the guy on the door. I'm like, "There's your punters." Wait for a little bit. It takes your badge number to make sure you're not just dropping people off for the fun of it. Yeah. They pay their entrance fee, comes out and just gives me like 25 quid a head.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Is there never a time that people are getting in that it's like the end of their night and they're going, "Oh, I just want to go home," and you go, "Have you considered a strip club?"
Yeah, test out how good my sales skills really were. Put that Apple Red Zone knowledge to the use.
I'd say it's more genius bar that way. Here's one. Right, I'm going to be careful how I ask this. Someone's in the taxi.
Yeah.
Have they ever offered you anything other than money to pay for the fare?
No.
Okay. Maybe that's just it. I've seen too many movies. I've seen too many online videos.